Okay. I'd like to welcome you all to our regular board meeting for January 2025. It's great to see so many people in the audience tonight. We've already done roll call. And I'd like to we also are joined at the table by two students from our Intra-City Student Council. Can you please introduce yourselves?
Hello, my name is Andres Mora. I'm a senior at Preble High School, and I'm the Green Bay Intra-City Student Council president.
I'm Miranda. I attend John Dewey, and I'm a freshman.
Well, welcome. All right, could you all please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would someone like to read our mission statement, please? Anybody? Go ahead, Brian.
We educate all students to be college, career, and community ready, inspired to succeed in our diverse world.
Thank you. Next is our land acknowledgement statement. Of the Green Bay Area Public School District recognize and honor the original inhabitants of Northeast Wisconsin. Our district lives, works, and learns upon the ancestral homelands of the Menominee and Ho-Chunk nations and the current homeland of Oneida Nation. We acknowledge the 12 diverse and vibrant Wisconsin First Nations who have persevered here since before recorded time and continue to be integral parts of our community. We uphold our responsibility to repair relationships, initiate partnerships, and stand with all First Nation communities. Okay. Next we have our open forum. First, we're going to lead with our Intra-City Student Council report. Go ahead, guys.
All right, so first up, we have East. They hosted their Shebango show. I'm not sure exactly how you would say that. The Shebango show, I believe, was 2 weeks ago, which had Bayview Middle School, Bayport High School, and East's Rhapsody in Red show choirs performing in their auditorium. And then they also had their freshman orientation last week, Tuesday. The next.
John Dewey had some students volunteer at Paul's Pantry for a good day. It was a lot of work. And then student staff wore their best flannel to celebrate the Spirit Week this week. We also had 5 middle schoolers attend the Student Leader Conference at Lambeau Field last week.
Over at Preble, so Sting Cancer raised $1,313 for St. Vincent's Cancer Center. Preble Show Choir hosted their first performance in the newly renovated auditorium. The Preble musical Guys and Dolls had 4 shows last weekend and was the very first musical in the new auditorium. Preble Academic Decathlon took first place at the regional competition. Preble Dance Team placed first in D1 POM at regionals, and the team is now advancing to state. The new lunchroom and classrooms are now open. And Preble and West Appear DECA collaborated to create birthday cards for those in hospice care.
Southwest Student Leadership Group presented a presentation on ideas for how to better their school, and they also had Avid make holiday cards for Meals on Wheels and ornaments for the local nursing home.
All right, and then finally we have West. So their academic decathlon team placed third at regionals in their regionals competition. 2 student athletes beat the school records in track events, and this year's play, Cinderella, is going to be taking place on March 14th.
Does that complete your report? All right, thank you very much. I got to say, all that green in Preble's new auditorium is really looks nice. Okay. The next we have is our public forum. Is there anyone who'd like to speak tonight? Okay, then we'll move on. Next, we have updates. First, we're going to have the superintendent's update. Vicki?
Thank you, and David's going to join me. We wanted to begin incorporating some of the language from Portrait of a Graduate into this part. So you're going to see some of the language linked, and in addition, we're going to highlight some of the things that are happening in the district directly with Portrait of a Graduate language. But we also want to continue including the intentional community engagement, strategic planning, referendum, and equitable instruction. So highlighting on the left, Ambassador Academy is continuing. We hit the mid-year mark this past month with the presentation from Amy Jekyll. She did a great job of explaining instructional technology use in our schools. And we have just a few more months left on that one. On the right-hand side, I volunteered for the Brown County United Way. They're celebrating their 100th year this year. So you'll be hearing a lot more about them in the community, and they continue to support our district in a lot of ways, specifically how communities school. For strategic planning, last week was the Wisconsin State Education Convention down in Milwaukee. Ms. McCoy, Mr. Crossan, and Mr. Johns joined us down there. This is a great opportunity to meet with other superintendents and board members across the state and attend breakout sessions that are relevant to issues that we're dealing with. And I don't think any of us, the four of us, would say that what we're dealing with here in Green Bay or Northeast Wisconsin is unique to our area. It's same issues pretty much across the board, whether it's rural, suburban, or urban. David.
Good evening, board and student leaders. As Superintendent Byer pointed out, we're going to increasingly frame these updates around successes and celebrations within our district that are aligned with our Portrait of a Graduate that in its infancy right now has staff, and in these two particular pictures, our cabinet involved in really working to imagine what these 5 attributes that you see on our beautiful portrait logo designed by our communications team, what it looks like to bring those into action. And so they're one of several groups who are engaged in broader conversations around bringing this to life out into the community. Had an opportunity to visit with many districts who are guided through a portrait and some of the various ways that they empower students to keep track of their own progress and archive their own artifacts that are aligned with these as well. So exciting things ahead with the portrait, and we're off and running, eager to take the next steps with that. This is what it looks like when a group of our fantastic high school leaders, these are our high school principals, along with Associate Director Katie Suko and Director Cindy Olson and Dan Slowey, are working together using the portrait as a frame to really imagine and then act on an optimal experience for our 9th grade students beginning next school year in our comprehensive high schools. And so this is a way that the portrait, again, is represented as an organizing tool for a lot of important structural decisions that can and should be made to change the experience for our students.
So let's take a look at these. Academic achievers, we'll begin with that. Perform at high levels in their studies and demonstrate commitment to learning. We had a couple examples over the last few weeks in the district of this one. That on the left-hand side, students already shared with us that West Academic Decathlon placed 3rd at their regional competition. Brenna, I hope I don't say her name wrong, Runavara from West High School took 2nd place in music. Aiden Vaness took 1st place in Scholastic, 1st in Science, Math, and Social Studies, 2nd in Art, Economics. Maya Lee Lohr took 3rd place in Social Science. Isaiah Becker, overall 2nd place for varsity, 1st place Music, Math, Economics, Speech, 2nd place Interview, and Science. And Kessin Fazzetti took third place in interview. On the right-hand side, you'll see our amazing teachers that were nominated for Golden Apple Award. That event is coming up in April. Communicators and connectors effectively communicate and collaborate with others, showing teamwork and empathy. You will be hearing over the next couple of weeks the information about Jackson Elementary being awarded Program of Promise. This was linked to their commitment to reducing student referrals for behavior, teaching empathy, teaching students how to manage their behaviors in a positive way. And they're being recognized by the Wisconsin School Counselors Association. The students mentioned the Preble group, Sing Cancer, raising over $1,000. Can you see the right one on the far right? I received an email last Monday from a 5th grader in the district who's practicing her communication skills and her empathy, because I want to highlight a part of this. She's thinking of others in her request to cancel school on Tuesday of last week. She used her communication skills to demonstrate empathy for her peers and her teachers by noting that canceling schools would mean that teachers can relax. So, having read her email, I immediately canceled school for Tuesday. She sent me an email follow-up thanking me. Cute. Personal architects, they take responsibility for their actions and choices, actively pursuing personal growth with a vision for their own success. Really great standouts over the last couple of weeks for the district. On the left side, West High School's Sam Hemery scored his 1,000th career point on January 14th. On the top middle, Washington Middle School Fine Arts held their showcase event highlighting their theater, band, dance, and choir classes. Far right, Southwest Dylan Deppy auditioned, this is amazing, and was accepted into Wisconsin's 132nd Army National Guard Band. About 60 members of Wisconsin's National Guard make up the band. Dylan is now one of only 3 high schoolers in Wisconsin to have passed the audition in the last 20 years. That's Green Bay. That's Green Bay. And then the bottom one, David.
The bottom photo represents an exciting experience at Lambeau's Atrium in December, where 20 young women scientists from West High School demonstrated their research through the Tiny Earth partnership between West and, well, between our district through courses taken at West and also in partnership with UWGB. This was an exciting opportunity for these young scientists to hear from someone who is practicing science in the field, got her start as an interested high school student in the field, and these young architects are starting to chart their own course in a field that is high reward and much needed in our world today.
Leaders and teammates exhibit the qualities to lead and inspire others, as well as work collaboratively. This, of course, many of you attended, was the event at NWTC last weekend honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Our own Ingrid Parker Hill, bottom right, was one of the facilitators of the event, and I know she put a lot of hours into making it very special. Mr. Johns was one of the speakers, and many of our students and staff were recognized for their work on diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Can I just make a note? David John's speech was amazing. I got so many comments about it afterwards, and I think we should make arrangements for you to make it again at our next board meeting.
David. Oh, bottom left, Preble Center Stage. The students had mentioned this one too, and the feedback I've been hearing from students and staff about the renovated auditorium has been really positive. And then the last one, empowered navigators develop and sharpen practical skills to journey through everyday life. The left-hand side is, of course, our ICSC. They have quarterly meetings here at district office and set really very good agendas and have the high school principals in attendance along with the Board of Education, all to problem solve. And top right, I'm sure many of you heard this already, but Green Bay Southwest alumna Jill Everman and West alumna Abby Destry are both integral parts of the new TV show Fox 11 Living, and we're very proud of them. That concludes.
All right, thank you. That's a tough act to follow. So Brian, let's hear about your legislative update.
Thanks for signing me up for that. My legislative update, Governor Evers has released his budget proposal and the emphasis that he has in there. And there's a lot working with public education and making sure our kids receive appropriate funding from the state. So I just wanted to touch on a couple of the key parts of the budget. He's talking about a historic investment in K-12 education, including investments in early childhood education, the UW system, and the state's tech schools. He also called for the lawmakers to release the $50 million that was allocated last budget to support the literacy efforts in the classrooms that our staff is already going through with our students. And if the money isn't released before June 30th, it goes back into the state's general fund. He was also talking about a proposal that I know Representative Shelton had 2 years ago, I believe, with the Healthy Meals, Healthy Kids plan, which would provide free lunch and breakfast in schools and help address the issue of lead in water by replacing some of the water fountains throughout the school for $154.8 million on that. As a personal note, as an educator that taught through COVID, it was amazing. And having lunchroom duty in a neighboring district, when there is free lunch and free breakfast, it's amazing how many students would come in for it, because you really, I believe that there is a stigma attached to some students of saying, okay, I'm coming in for breakfast. And when everyone is offered it, there's a lot more kids eating it, which I think is it's a no-brainer that it's something that should be covered. And to see that firsthand, and then when the free lunch or the free breakfast is reduced, the number of kids having breakfast has decreased dramatically. And it's not kids coming in and throwing out the breakfast, it's kids eating breakfast. And I think the state desperately needs that, and that's in every district throughout the state. So the governor also talked about including $30 million, which seems very small, to address the mental health crisis that still takes place for our students. It's going to go towards staffing and getting the resources to the districts to help all students, and it's continuing on. He also would like almost $300 million to support mental health services in schools, with $168 million going towards comprehensive school mental health services, $130 million to modify existing aid for school mental health programs, to provide 20% reimbursement for the cost of pupil services, and then $500,000 for peer-to-peer suicide prevention programs, and $760,000 to increase the amount and types of mental health trainings provided to schools. It seems like it's a logical investment, and hopefully it'll pass. And I encourage everyone to contact their assembly and senators to express their opinion on it.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? I'm just gonna talk a little bit about what I saw down in Milwaukee last week at the education convention. Every single indicator would say that as we head into this new budget, it's going to be protracted, complicated, lengthy, and potentially ugly. And it was kind of foremost on everyone's minds. The governor did come and speak at this convention and outlined, but it was, you can tell everyone's just sort of waiting to see like what is this going to look like and what's even possible, given the political situation in Madison. So that lots and lots of talk in various different ways, because it hangs over all the work that schools do. That and vouchers are the two big hot topics. I don't know, Rick, if you would agree with me about that, but that's kind of how I read the room.
Yeah, to Superintendent Byers' point, we are certainly not in this alone. These issues, the phenomena are across the state, and they affect all of our children, all of our students, in a lot of different ways. Where I saw a lot of unity of effort, but then again, I saw a lot of different ideas and methodologies to achieve those ends. That forum for me was eye-opening in just the scope and scale of the number of people involved in our educational process in this state. That in itself was encouraging. I don't know that we have a common definition of the right thing, although the intentions are good. So that was encouraging. And there's a lot of money involved in this whole thing. Obviously, a lot of ways to talk about how to spend it and how to best apply it towards the students. I did hear that common theme that this is all about our students, our kids. So that was encouraging.
Okay. Anybody else want to speak? Okay. Sure.
And I'm sure everyone is aware of it, but we have a $4 billion surplus.
Good point. Thank you. All right, then we're going to move on to our consent agenda approval. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I move that the consent agenda items as presented be approved.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. Lynn, are you able to vote online?
I vote aye.
All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Okay, in a very uninteresting procedural vote, we did just vote to hire a new principal at Washington Middle School, Miss Ashley Flowers. Could you please come up and share a few words?
Good evening. Oh, can I?
Yeah, please, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Good evening. I am beyond excited to continue working with the dedicated and passionate staff at Washington Middle School. I am committed to lead with purpose towards excellence because I truly believe our students and families deserve nothing less. Board members, district leaders, and especially my Washington community, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Ashley, do you have a posse with you tonight?
Oh my gosh, yes. My fabulous husband, my beautiful
Go ahead,
children,
go ahead and wave a hand. There you go. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah.
my parents, and my sister here supporting me.
Oh, that's nice. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us tonight, everybody. Okay. Okay, next on our agenda is under action items are contracts. I'm not sure who's doing the contracts under Wisconsin State Statute Section 118.
I move that the issuance of contracts is outlined under Wisconsin State Statute, Section 118.24 for the 2025-2026 school year as presented be approved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Okay, next is open enrollment space designation for 2025-26. Would someone read the motion?
I move that the open enrollment space designation as presented be approved. Second.
Any questions, any discussion? Andrew?
Once again, as I've done most years, I'm going to vote no on this. And my no vote isn't a reflection that I think this isn't perhaps the best available thing that staff could have offered here. It reflects my position that we need to do better, and all districts need to do better than to all tell each other that students with special needs can't come in. I understand if the surrounding districts have all done it, it would put the one in a bad spot, maybe to be the only one to have spots open. But the solution to that is everyone's in the same boat together, and I think we need to find a way. The reality is that families who have privilege and resources can, in fact, have access to methods to get their kids into whatever schools they want. And there's no, once someone officially lives here, then of course we're going to serve them. And it's very, it just leads to some, problems. And I don't fault the staff for feeling they had no other recommendation to offer here. But that's why I'm voting no on this, as I have done most years where we made a decision to close most open enrollment to special ed students.
Rick?
I concur with Mr. Becker's position on this. This is one where I believe that the staff did do good due diligence and in calculating what is possible under the conditions that they figured out. I think it's the board's accountability to say, let's figure out a way to include those who want to come here. I think we should look at whatever the factors are that are preventing us or causing this position to be taken or proposed, and look at all of those variables that feed into that decision. And then we, the board, should then figure out and help the district figure out a way to make it happen. I think this is one where it's easy to say, no, we don't have room at the end, but I think we should figure out a way, especially in light of the reality of special education students. The number of special education student needs is on the increase. So that should challenge us strategically to figure out how we deal with that new reality, that new world that is happening here. So yeah, I'm inclined to say let's figure out a way. It's not a challenge to the district leadership by themselves. It's a challenge to all of us to let's figure out a way to say yes.
Brian?
One thing I overlooked in my legislative update is Governor Evers calling for an increased amount in special education funding coming back to districts that match what vouchers are receiving with it. So $4 billion surplus.
All right. Any other comments, questions? Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried. The results of the individual board member votes are as follows. Becker, no. McCoy, yes. Lyerly, yes. Mills, yes. Gerlach, yes. Crossan, no. Lee, yes.
Okay, next is a resolution authorizing request to DPI for seventh grade world languages exemption for school years 25-26 and 26-27. Can someone read the motion, please?
I move that the resolution authorizing the request to the Department of Public Instruction for seventh grade world languages exemption for school years 25, 26, and 26, 27 as presented be approved.
Second. All right. Any questions, any discussion? Andrew?
Is there, I understand that the resolution is very good. It details, it's not just a case where we said we, you know, made applications available, put it on weekend and didn't find world language teachers. It details, you know, everything we tried, non-traditional, and I very much appreciate that. My only question is, could we be a little more optimistic and just do the resolution for just 25, 26 and set a signal that we're really trying to push for getting it resolved by 26, 27, or are there technical factors that are making us do it for 2 years or a state rule that causes that?
Thank you for the question and appreciate the recognition that this is fundamentally an issue of supplying high quality world language teachers throughout our program. Um, uh, Should the board approve a 2-year waiver, that doesn't stop us from the ambitious recruiting and work we're doing to hire. And certainly we would love to offer world language as it meets the statute, which our current program no longer does, from as early of a grade as possible. So a 2-year waiver doesn't prevent us from, again, that hiring and possibly even being able to fill those positions to bring back a 7th grade program within a year. It just was the amount of time that we felt we believed to build strength into our credit bearing programs, 8th grade on up, and then ideally be able to start to fill those positions and offer language to as young of students as we can.
Any other questions? Okay, Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Okay, next is our Clean Energy Advisory Committee proposal. Can someone read the motion, please?
I move that the Clean Energy Advisory Committee proposal as presented be approved.
Second.
Okay, any questions? Any discussion, Brian?
I thought it was a great proposal that they presented last meeting, and the amount of work and time that community members have brought forward to this, including students and members within the city, and just the community stepping up for this is great. So I'm very excited about this.
Anybody else? Brian, I would agree with you. I mean, that represented a lot of work, and I think it shows our district as leading in this, and we should be leading in this. That's what I believe anyway. So I really want to recognize Kale's efforts. Before him, Josh Patrick, and members of our community that have stepped up to serve on this committee, which isn't going away. It'll still be there. And we have a lot of work ahead of us, but it's been a pleasure to just have a small part of it. So, Brian?
tied into this, the city also offers some energy efficiency and clean energy programming within the city for city residents and just how to navigate this. And I hope that they're utilizing some of the school district's experiences with it as well. So if you're interested in that, we're hosting a meeting in our library tomorrow. So
The city's doing parallel work to us. Everyone's got eyes on this issue, and I'm really glad to see that in our city. So, all right. Any other questions or any discussion? Kenzie?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Okay. Who would like to read the motion for the next item?
I move that Herkman Mechanical Industries Incorporated be awarded the bid for chiller replacement at Lombardi Middle School in the amount of $675,898 as presented be approved.
Second.
Okay, questions? Discussion? Kenzie?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Who would like to do the next motion?
I move that the job description updates as presented be approved.
Second.
Any questions, any discussion? Brian?
So I want to thank Mike for making a change that we discussed at the or I brought up at the last meeting related to the facilities manager position and adding on line 29, the employee promotion as well as discipline, termination, and hiring. I think we do a good job, or I think we need to continue to work on hiring and promoting from within and not just within our educator ranks, but also our skilled trades, our facilities staff. So while I recognize that 2 words added to a job description isn't going to be a significant change, I hope it recognizes the board's desire to continue that program, especially within all of our areas, not just the educators and support staff with that, but all of our employees.
Anybody else? Kenzie?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Thank you. Who would like to read the next motion?
I move that the revisions to Board of Education policies and rules in the 300 and 400 series policies as presented be approved.
Second.
Okay. Questions or discussion? Kenzie?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Okay. Would someone like to read the next motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education policies and rules in the 300 and 400 series policies as presented be approved.
Second.
Okay. Any questions, any discussion? Andrew?
I do have an amendment for human growth and development instruction, new policy 341.31. Nice, I sent that right, Kenzie? So my amendment that I'm moving is to remove the sentence, "The superintendent of schools and learning may approve the proposed appointments on behalf of the Board of Education for the then current iteration of the ad hoc committee." And add,
Oh, I'm sorry, Andrew, can you just identify what section you're,
Yeah.
number and section you're in?
Three B, number one.
3B, yeah, 3B1. So removing the superintendent of schools and learning may approve the proposed appointments on behalf of the Board of Education for the then current iteration of the ad hoc committee, and replace or delete / add, same thing. Membership on the committee is subject to confirmation by the Board of Education.
You're seconding his,
Yeah, second.
okay. All right, go ahead.
Andrew, I'd like to offer a friendly to, in the first sentence, remove the word chairperson and restate that as president of the board. We very rarely use the word chairperson.
So that would be fine. I assume that there might have been a because the chairperson of the committee is the superintendent, I thought there was a request contained here to do that. So if that's not what we were, I think it's, though, I think it is too, I would agree, and I think it could be a unanimous consent to the whole thing, but I think that's different than what I'm doing here. So I agree, but I don't think it'd be a friendly here.
I'll retract.
So if you look at 3B3, it states the chairperson and the superintendent of schools and learning shall notify the board anytime a new iteration of the ad hoc committee is being convened. So I agree with Andrew. I think chairperson is the chairperson of the committee, but I don't think it's the superintendent. It's the chairperson of the Human Growth and Development Committee.
So 3A establishes the superintendent as the chairperson. Oh, I apologize. Thank you.
Okay, so Andrew, would you please read your amendment again?
Sure. So it removes the sentence, "The superintendent of schools and learning may approve the proposed appointments on behalf of the Board of Education for the then current iteration of the ad hoc committee." And it says, it would replace that with, "Membership on the committee is subject to confirmation by the Board of Education." Because otherwise it seems we're carving out a group of committee appointees that just don't have a board confirmation vote of them where we have them everywhere else.
All right, any other discussion? So let's take a vote on Andrew's amendment.
You can see what Andrew amended. Online voting is open. Who are you able to vote online? All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
All right, so now we're back to the original motion. Is there any further discussion or questions regarding that? Okay, Kinsey? Oh, yes.
I think when we made the original motion for all of these, we said as presented be approved. Would we need to change that to as amended? Okay. So I'm going to make the motion that the Board of Education policies and rules and the 300 and 400 series of policies as amended be approved.
Second.
All right. Everybody ready to vote? Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Okay. That completes our agenda for tonight. In open session anyway. Could someone read the motion to go into closed session? Go ahead, Lynn. She's the pro.
I move that the board adjourn into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85, section 1C. Consider an employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction to exercise responsibility, to wit, superintendent's performance evaluation.
All right.
Second.
Kinsey?
Becker,
Aye.
McCoy,
Aye.
Lyerly,
Aye.
Mills,
Aye.
Gerlach,
Aye.
Crossan,
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned into closed session.
You have been watching the Green Bay Area Public School District's Board of Education meeting. Please visit the school district's website, www.gbaps.org, for more information on the district and future meeting dates. If you cannot fully access the information on this video, please let us know the accessibility issue you are having by calling 920-448-2025 or by email at communications@gbaps.org. We will try to provide the information to you in an alternative format and/or make the necessary improvements to make the information accessible.